Welcome. Our group is dedicated to highlighting the real, urgent biological problem of human germline editing. This technology, which is modifying the DNA of sperm, eggs, or early embryos, crosses a critical, ethical, and biological boundary. Unlike somatic editing, germline changes are heritable, meaning they're passed down through generations, making the consequences potentially irreversible and compounding. Leading our discussion is Elyas. He will detail the potential for unforeseen biological side effects and the risk of creating new, untreatable inherited conditions. Joining him is Trevas. He will focus on the profound societal danger, the inevitable slide toward a designer baby eugenics, and the widening of health and social inequalities. Finally, we introduce myself, Bill Brown, who will address the irreparability of these edits, stressing that once changes are introduced into the human gene pool, there is no undo button. Germline editing isn't a future concern. It's a biological and ethical crisis. Please take heart to these crucial perspectives. It's time to act now.
My name is Elyas, and my concern is not philosophical, but fundamentally biological. Germline editing, the permanent alteration of DNA that will be passed down to every future generation, is a biological hazard we are grossly underestimating. We are talking about using CRISPR and similar tools on the earliest stage of human life. The reality is that these tools are not perfect. They cause off-target edits, unintended genetic alterations at sites other than the target. When this happens in an embryo, those mistakes become part of the human lineage forever. Worse, even when the edit is on target, we are working with an incomplete biological map. Human genetic is complex. A gene we edit to fix a disease might have unknown beneficial and intended consequences. Secondary rules that we only discover when they are broken. We risk eliminating a serious disease only to introduce an entirely new, potentially worse inherited condition that we cannot treat because we design it. This is not a theoretical risk. This is a biological recklessness. We are performing an uncontrolled, irreversible experiment on the human gene pool, gambling with the health of our descendants. We must implement a global moratorium now, before these scientific accidents become biological facts.
I am Trevas, and my argument is about the social consequences of germline editing, which I believe are catastrophic. This is not about medical treatment, it is about the inevitable return of eugenics. Once we allow heritable edits to cure a serious disease, and that line is already slippery, the pressure to enhance will become irresistible. Which parent will choose to have a normal child when they can afford a genetically privileged one? The free market will commodify the human genome. Germline editing will quickly become a luxury item accessible only to the wealthy. This will not just widen social inequality, it will hardwire it into our species. We will create a permanent genetic caste system, the genetically enhanced elite and everyone else. The very concept of equality of worth will be undermined. Moreover, it puts an intolerable burden on future generations. Do these children have autonomy over genes their parents chose? Will the unedited be stigmatized? We cannot risk a technology that creates a biologically and socially divided human race. The ethical line is clear. A global ban on germline editing is the only way to safeguard human dignity and social justice.
Hi, I'm Bill, and my perspective is focused on the most critical biological consequence of germline editing: irreversibility. When you edit the DNA of a mature body cell, those changes die with the individual. But when you modify an embryo's germline, the reproductive cells, you're not just treating one person. You are designing a genetic legacy that is permanent. Any mistake, any unforeseen interaction, or any negative trait that emerges later becomes an embedded feature of the human gene pool. We are constantly discovering that genes we thought were bad also play subtle, protective roles in development of immunity. If we edit those out, there is no way to recall the change. It's not like fixing a software bug with a patch. We are rewriting the foundational code of our species and deploying it without beta testing. Furthermore, the process itself is highly inefficient. We destroy numerous embryos during the refinement process, and those that survive often exhibit mosaicism, where not all cells are correctly edited. This leads to profound uncertainty about the resulting health of the child and introduces new instabilities into the genome, the ethical cost of creating new permanent biological risks for all future generations is simply too high. We must stop this experiment now. The crisis of germline editing demands action, not just debate. We propose 3 immediate critical solutions to protect our biological future.
First, we need a global, legally binding moratorium. Nations must ratify a treaty that bans the clinical implantation of any genetically edited human embryo. We believe this is the only way to prevent the rise of a genetically privileged elite and halt the return of eugenics driven by market forces.
Second, we must shift resources to non-heritable therapies. Instead of risky germline editing, we must pour funding into proven, safe alternatives. This means prioritizing pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, or PGD, and advancing somatic gene therapy. We argue that this allows us to cure disease without introducing permanent unforeseen biological side effects into the human gene pool.
And third, we need an independent bioethics authority. This council of scientists, ethicists, and policymakers must provide global oversight and conduct mandatory, transparent risk assessments. We cannot stress enough that this is essential to ensuring that a few rogue actors cannot unilaterally compromise the future of the species. The cost of an irreversible mistake is too high. The time to act is now.